Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Kaythebookworm, and in today's episode, I have a very special guest. I found this beautiful woman on Twitter, and we became Twitter friends, then Instagram friends. I was one of the first people to read her first ever book, Alignment.
I love that you have it.
Then I went on Kindle and read her very sexy polyamorous relationship novel. I can't remember what it was called, so excuse me. Help me out real quick. The Christmas novella, what was it? I cannot remember.
Excuse me?
The Christmas
I'm
novella.
sorry.
Christmas novella.
Oh, the now I completely went blank as well. That's wonderful. That helps not knowing your book's name.
Oh, just look it up. I'll leave it in the comments below. I read that, and then I also got to read. God, this is one of my favorite books by her so far. Blaze.
Yeah.
This is like my favorite one. And then she also has a third book from the Firecracker series that is coming out. We're talk about that later. But introducing Miss A.H. Cunningham.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. So my first question is, how did you get started and why did you get started?
So I've been writing on and off like since I was 18, because I've always loved romance novels, but a few years ago I kind of like said, let me go ahead and like see what it looks like if I kind of go through the entire process. And I wrote a novel. It was right before I have a 2-year-old, so it was right before getting pregnant with him. And I kind of put everything in pause after that. Once he, we were kind of in the thick of COVID and everything, I said, let me kind of like unearth that manuscript and see how it looks like. And I was definitely in a different place, so it wasn't like the right thing that I wanted to publish, but I finally felt confident enough to, I think we went through so much change with COVID that it was like, why not? Why not try now? So I went ahead, and that's when I started working on Alight.
Cool. So let's talk about Alight, your first book.
Yeah.
This tells the story of Alicia and Gabo, as she says. Childhood friends, it's kind of a friends to lovers distance type of vibe to it because he goes away once they get older. He comes back home while she's trying to get away. And he basically kind of like one of those friends was like, I've always had a crush on you, but I was kind of too scared to say when we were kids. And now that we're older, I'm gonna try to make you stay. And I thought this book was very beautiful, but also very filthy. I don't know, like
I did my job.
the scene where they were, she was telling him his fantasy. Spoiler alert if you haven't read the book, and they were masturbating together.
I mean, have we not all read a romance novel and like, what would it be like to
Mm-hmm.
have that situation? It's like, I kind of just wanted to see in paper, see how that will work out.
So but I also like the fact that Gabo basically was telling her, like, listen, your family's here. We love you here. I understand that you went through a fuck situation with the ex, but don't let that ex run you off for being around family. And she really had to learn that the hard way. So do you see yourself in Alicia or do you see yourself more in Gabo?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel like there's always a little bit of each of us in our characters, but I would say I'm probably a little bit more like Gabo, like very careful, especially like when he was older, younger, and kind of like hesitant to like take a risk.
Mhm.
Um, and then also very like he's very conflict averse, so definitely have a little bit more of Gabo in me than Alicia. Obviously, her heritage and everything that comes from me, but definitely personality wise, it will be more him than her.
Okay. Then I read the second book, which is the Christmas novella. What makes you want to write about polyamorous relationships? And the reason why I asked that is because when I read that book was so beautifully written. It made me seem like nobody was jealous. They all were, one big legit happy family. The kids were like, listen, you accept you for who you are, as long as you make my mom happy, cool. The dad was cool with it. Like, what made you want to write that before we get into your other polyamorous book?
So a season 2 release is like, it's kind of, you're looking at a snippet of like this trouple's life. And I wanted to explore what it would look like for a woman closer to my age. She's 43, I'm 36. How would it look like on like an everyday situation if someone was in an established polyamorous relationship? And in a comfortable one where, family knows everything, their friends know. And why I write them is because I feel for the longest time, like I was searching for that when I was reading romance novels. There's something that I think as a society, we learn that monogamy is the only way. But I feel like in our cultures, we've seen a lot of non-monogamy, maybe not ethical,
Yeah.
but we've seen a lot of non-monogamy in our cultures because we're trying to kind of conform to this kind of like westernized life that we have. And it's always caught my attention, like from the books that I used to read, but I never have found like something that like kind of really like spoke to who I was, as a Black woman. There was always kind of like like your white, like triples and everything, your MMF or your, FMF, but never what I really was looking for until I kind of like stumbled upon Katrina Jackson's books, and I was like, oh my God, like we could do it as well. Like
Yeah.
we could write about it as well. And I just kind of felt like, why not fill the void of what I was looking when, as a reader. So that's really why I started kind of exploring that. And I think there's something kind of beautiful about polyamorous relationships where communication is so important in order to keep the balance. So I almost feel like you kind of have to have your shit together to be able to be successful in it. So it almost kind of like asks more of you than just like your monogamous relationship, which is something that's really like appealing to me to write about individuals that are like in that place.
And the reason why I asked that because nowadays it's like, especially in Black literature, especially indie Black literature, it's common now. Like every other book that you read about is about polyamorous relationships. And the main key goal is communication. Communication. Granted, communication is important in a regular relationship, friendship, family, doesn't matter. But when you're in a relationship with two people, communication is the key. And I'm glad that because it's a segue, because Blaze talks about communication. Lies. When I tell you I love this book is amazing. Chapter 18, oh my gosh, we get into it. So it tells the story of Mariana, and she is a fashion designer, and she has the chance to make designers for Carnival. And she has her on again, off again fuck buddy / best friend Mason. And Mason is the cousin of Gabo. And in this book, we meet a little bit of him in this book. And Mason basically is in love with her, but Mariana is very hesitant. She realizes that even though she loves him, she feels as if she can't be faithful to him. So they go to an event that Mason really kind of needs money for his nonprofit, and they meet Mr. Daniel Robinson.
That is exactly how I called him in my mind.
Mr. Daniel Robinson is a man who knows what he wants. He does not care how to get it. He's very, how can I say this? He's very ignorant, but at the same time, he's very compassionate. And he breaks the shell that Mariana and Mason needs when it comes to communication and realizing that I need you as much as you need me, but I'm going to kind of ease my way in. So like the first time when I first read this book, I could feel the love between Mariana and Mason, but at the same time, I also kind of saw myself more in Mariana, especially like towards the like middle when she was realizing like, do I want to be with him or do I just want to be single and I don't want to hurt his feelings, but this and that. So when she talked to her ex, like I said, spoiler alert, and she realized that, even though she loves them, she would like to have sex with other people. And I love the fact that both of them was like, okay, when it gets to that point, cool. But I have one little condition. I felt like Mason was a pushover. In,
Fair.
in
Okay.
some points, because I felt as if like it was more so like, even though he really liked Mariana, it was just like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to not lose her. So there were some moments in the book where it's just like when she was kind of express herself, and he was just like, okay, cool, but I'll be over here. But if it wasn't for, I feel like if it wasn't for Daniel standing his ground and be like, no, this is what's going to happen, Mason would have like basically, I feel like she would have been playing Mason feelings like to the left throughout the entire book if it wasn't for Daniel.
I agree. I think Daniel helps him realize that he could like ask for what he wants. And it is a lot informed from his history with his family and his parents, and how his parents weren't very present. And he was almost kind of raised by his older sisters.
Yeah.
His parents were like very successful, like immigrant parents. That's kind of like a lot of, sometimes like you will see families where they come and they kind of, what we equate as love is providing. And you'll see a lot of that like topic in my books, and how that providing looks like for each person. And because of how he felt kind of almost not abandoned by his parents, but like ignored by his parents, it informs how he reacts to relationships, and how he kind of just wants to take care of people so that they're there for him.
Yeah.
And that dynamic that you see with her is very much informed from like that dynamic with his parents. So, you kind of start seeing him kind of saying like, like if they're not with it, like I'm probably going to have to kind of do what's right for me. But it had taken him a long time to get there.
I think too with Mariana, when she came to her parents and she finally told her parents that I am bisexual, I'm in a relationship with two men, but at the same time, I still want to go out and branch. And the fact that even though her parents weren't cool with it, they respected it. I kind of was in that same boat too, because I was nervous when I told my parents that I was bisexual, but they were just like, okay, as long as whoever you're with respect, that's all that matters. And I was just like, I felt as if she kind of, I think that also, I could be wrong, but I think that's another reason why she was so hesitant about actually being in the relationship. Because after chapter 18, that we'll get to in a minute, she saw her uncle there. And she freaked the hell out that she saw her uncle.
I mean, I would have freaked out. It's like a friend of, like a very close friend of the family, but
yeah.
Hell yeah. Like if you see one of the elders of your like, parents group, like in a sex club, like you're gonna freak out.
And Daniel was just like, okay. Daniel was just like okay. And you see him, bye. What does that have to do with me? So, yeah. But at the same time, I feel as if Daniel, especially with his parents, his stepfather, and learning the back history about him having the same situation, but the situation was with a close business partner of his stepfather, and realizing that didn't work out. And then the mom, she was just so on the side of the fence, just like, I love my son, but I love my husband more. And I hated that for him sometimes, because it felt like, just how you said that Mason was looking for love through Mariana, I felt like Daniel got that strong, demeanor, I'm not taking no shit, because of his mom.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like he was kind of like the man of his family until his mom meets his stepdad. So there was never kind of like that like good connection with his stepfather, even from the beginning. Like he was old enough to understand what was happening. He didn't see him as a father. Grateful for the things that he did for his family, because they were in dire straits before, but it still wasn't a good relationship at all. And he just kind of learned to like just not care about, it's like kind of like the two sides of the coin. Like actually you kind of see a little bit of three, right? Like the one person that cares so much about what her family thinks that she's willing to maybe like walk away from love, and then you have the one that is kind of lukewarm, understands that there's trauma, understands that he's healing from it, but still is kind of like working through it. And then the one that is like, I don't even need you anymore. Like you're not serving anything for me. And I could leave like whatever toxic relationship behind because you're not acting as parents. So it was a little bit of that as well, like kind of seeing like different sides of them like dealing with that and kind of like that parental, like I feel like everyone, for better or for worse, we have like great relationships with parents, or we might not, or you know, however you were raised, but it informs who you are as an adult, and it's just kind of seeing how each of them react to different situations based on that.
I agree with that. So chapter 18. Reading chapter 18. Reading chapter 18. What was in your head when you made that chapter?
So I've always, like, even before, like, as I mentioned, reading a romance, I've always been interested in BDSM, and it's something that it's going to be like more and more in my books. But I always, when I was obviously started reading maybe too young about that, but you know, it's always like this huge like taboo, like, oh my God, like you know, like kind of like forbidden. And as I've grown older, I'm like, no, how about if you explore it in a way of like, you know, I go to work every day, but you know, at night I do this, like, and it's perfectly fine. So for that chapter, it was really kind of like one, opening the door to the actual sex club, because we will see that plays kind of be showcased in different ways in different books in the universe as we move along. So it's a little bit of kind of like an opening of the door of that. And then, you know, the overall experience that she wanted to have, like just kind of like that sensory, like everything kind of shut down, trusting them completely. So even though she wasn't there to trust them in regards to like committing, she was already showing you where she was with her heart, because she could trust them to do all of that. So that scene is kind of showcasing, like kind of like giving herself permission to just completely go with the fantasy. And then just playing with the senses, like that's just always, I always find that to be fun when I'm writing.
I felt like even Mason, that scene too, when Mason and Daniel and their scenes, he was also trusting him too, even though he was kind of like iffy about it at first, because he was just like, I just want Mariana. I don't want you. But then Mariana was like, I want to try it. And like I said, once again, the pushover aspect. Okay, well, if we want to try it, I want to be with you, so let's try it. And then come to find out, he also fell in love with them too. So, like I said, the book is so good, guys. Like, it shows you that, like I said in my review, it shows you that communication is everything.
Yeah, it definitely, like that's really the message of it. And then I also kind of wanted to play with like old love and young love. Like, how does that look like? Because really, like, you know, Mason and Mariana already, they have history. So no matter how you slice it, that history is going to kind of come to, you know, to play. But then how does that young love that Mariana and Daniel have, and then Mason and Daniel have look like? And exploring like kind of the difference in both, because I'm very much like, I absolutely love second chance romance and kind of like, you know, marriage in distress. Like I like to read that a lot. So that was kind of also my play of like, okay, let me do a little bit of young love interspersed with this kind of, you know, friendship that has been kind of dragging along this sex buddy situation. Yeah.
Did an excellent job with that.
Thank you.
So book 3 is coming.
Yeah.
The cover is freaking gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have anything to say, or can you give us a little synopsis about what book 3 is? Because from what I read, book 3, I can't remember the names, but apparently it happens the night of Carnival. Yeah. And it is an accidental pregnancy, I'm going to say, trope.
Yeah.
I don't like them like that, but I'm excited to read it. You. So can you give us any insight about exactly what those characters are going to be like? Are they different, or are they the same from like the first 2 books?
Same from this first book. So you have like the cousins. You have Alicia from the first book and Mariana. They're cousins from their Alicia's mom's side. So like their parents are twins actually. And then you have Ayala, which is the last book, and she's Alicia's cousin through her dad.
Okay.
So Ayala is Jamaican. Well, yeah, born in Jamaica and then kind of like moved to the States. So it's her story. And then Malik, which is a really good friend. Like he's kind of like the third friend of Gabo, Mason, like that trio.
Okay.
But we don't see him in the other two books because he's a merchant marine. Like he works
Mm.
on for most of the year. So he's home for like, a few months. They all go to Carnival to support Mariana. And, they kind of get carried away. They're friends. They know each other from that same group, and I've always communicated with each other. And she's always stayed really like closely in touch with him. So their relationship has evolved almost to kind of like also like they consider themselves best friends, even though he's far away.
Yeah.
And then they kind of do what they do and end up pregnant, decide to keep the child. And the book really kind of starts after the pregnancy. So for those who kind of like, oh, I don't like pregnancy books, she's already given birth, but it's really kind of like seeing them co-parent together and try to figure out how to do that without falling into temptation, because he doesn't, work there. He's just there for vacation and he's helping her out while he's on vacation.
So is it going to be like one of those things like she has a baby and then he leaves for a couple of months and she starts regretting the situation?
So you can't, I'm not going to give you too much, but, he's actually going to return after the baby's born.
Okay.
But he knows, but he left knowing. They made decisions together. They're being very adult and mature about it, or so they think.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about that.
Okay.
Like I said, I think if you want to get insight, read this one and this one a little bit, but I feel like this one more because I do remember Malik being mentioned, and I do remember the cousin talking to Alicia and basically cussing her out because she was about to move, and she was like, "Why are you moving over that dude that broke your heart? Why?" So remember that. I do remember that. For my future writers out there, I always ask this question to every author that I interview. What is one advice that you would give an author? And do not say just right.
That's okay. Not just right. So I gotta think about this one. I would say surround yourself with people that are gonna do like if you have a plan or a goal of what you want to publish, try to surround yourself with writers that are kind of in a similar path or have already done that path, because I personally have been really blessed with really kind of like strong examples of what can be done in the indie world, and what kind of the risks that you could take because of what I've seen and ways about it. And what I love about our community is like super open. Like you kind of just like slide in someone's DM like, hey, what's up? I saw that you did this and this and that, and I have a question, and people will like answer. So I would say make sure that you kind of try to get into the community first, meet people, online, and kind of absorb all of that, because it's really helpful as you move along to have that knowledge and that, friendship, if you could build that. Because I honestly, if I would have tried to do this all by myself, like without understand, like having that community, I don't think I would have been as successful. There's no way. Like there's no way. And I'm not like, oh my God, but like even like I was super taken aback in a way, in a good way, when the light came out, and it had more sales than what I thought it would have. And I think it was just because I was putting myself out there and talking to people and learning from people, and still have a lot to learn. So that would be my advice.
That's good advice. For me, I'll just say, like, I'll piggyback what you said. Definitely, like, get out there. I have a friend now who's a writer. I'm not gonna say her name because she might kill me. But I keep telling her, like, she always asks me, how do you do this and that? Promote. Like, I have a friend who just put out a book, and I think I said that I got like reviews, and like somebody in Canada and France read my book. Granted, I already had UK from last year, but I had Canada and France read my book, and I'm like, I posted. And she's like, how do you get this happen? I was like, listen, I just post. And like from what people from like authors who I look up to and stuff like that, they tell me I don't do enough posting to post. So I just, like I said, I feel as if get the community, but also stay in your own lane.
Yeah.
Do not think, okay, she's doing this. She's, popping out books like crazy while I see this book. You don't know what she's doing to pop out books. She might be a full-time writer while you're working a full-time job. So you really have to just you gotta have the community, but also stay in your lane when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's really important. Like, just, first people say, oh, write the market. I if you're not being tried, write what you want to write. Like, at first, that's like the only way that you're gonna know if you're going on the right track or not. And then if not, then you kind of you figure it out. But yeah, for sure, the comparison game never helps. We all write at different paces.
Yep.
Sometimes you don't know if someone has maybe been writing for like 2 years before they actually decided to publish, so they have work to put out, especially if they're working. So yeah, for sure, don't the comparison game is never good. You're gonna find your people. Readers are gonna find you. Trust that.
I totally agree with that. So my last question of the night: besides the book that's coming, do you have anything else that you have planned for the rest of the year?
Well, there's some secrets, but probably by the end of the year. Well, there's one that I actually have spoken about online. I'm doing like a very short novella. I'm trying to keep it short. It's meant to be just like more like a erotic romance.
Okay.
And it's actually Mason's sister. She is in the second book, like very briefly in one scene. And she basically decides to travel to this remote island in the Caribbean, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and ends up meeting this younger man in the airport, and then like kind of things get a little spicy from there. And he's a sex toy maker.
Oh.
And he needs help, with his design. So, she takes one for the team. So that hopefully will be coming, I don't know when, but like end of summer, hopefully.
So he's a sex toy designer.
Yes.
I've never seen an occupation like that in the book world. That's different.
Yeah, so that's been fun to write. I'm just having fun with it. That this is my my me project. Like, I have another series that's gonna start at the end of the year that I'm taking my time kind of developing. And that one I've already started working on the covers. And that's still in the same universe as the Firecrackers, but it's not like fully, like, you're not gonna see the same characters for like it's in the same area. They're connected. Yeah, they're connected. They're in the same community. You'll see a little bit of the center, because the center is gonna be like one of those places where a lot of people network and help out.
Yeah.
You're gonna see the sex club, especially in the first one, the Master's Q. You're gonna learn a little bit more about him. So definitely more is coming in regards to that. But for sure, after this book, hopefully end of summer, we're getting a little spicy novella.
Well, I'm excited for that, because like I said, I've never seen a text toy maker before.
Well, the fun part has been doing the research. And then obviously I almost would say like some of it is fantasy, because what I'm like, what he's creating is really not there. But if it was, I'm not gonna talk too much about what he's
don't want to spoil it.
Spoil it, but if that toy existed, well, a lot of problems would be resolved. So
say less. Don't say no more. I'll wait. I will wait until summer. I will freaking wait.
But so that one is coming, and it's funny because I started writing it, and then I'm like, what the heck? Like, I need them to start like just fucking right now. So I kind of like went back, and so now it's more erotic for sure. So
well, I'm excited. Well, AH, I just want to say thank you so much. Guys, I'm gonna say this before I get off. We've been trying to get this interview for the longest, for like now.
I know.
And freaking time and life has freaking killed us, but we did it. And I'm so thankful that you was so open and so flexible with me. And I appreciate you. I'll definitely get you back for the third one. Guys, make sure you get her first book, A Light. Her second book, ablaze. And I'll leave in the comments of the Christmas novella because it's a very cute short novella, very sexy. The hot tub scene, child.
It's good.
I just want to say this girl can write sex scenes. Like, you want to like look up porn while watching like doing my sex scenes. That's all I gotta say about that. But I'll leave all of her information in the comments below. Definitely follow her on Twitter because that's where she basically is a lot. She's on Instagram, but she's more so on Twitter, like I am. So follow me too.
Follow both of us.
Follow both of us, might as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love y'all. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a orange heart in the comments if you're a real one. And until next time, read what you want to write and write what you want to read. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.